Okay, good morning. Shabbat Shalom to the scattered 12 tribes of the bloodline of Abraham that are scattered to the four corners of the earth. Also to those who are not of the bloodline, but seek the truth and righteousness and want to be grafted into that olive tree. Greetings. Greetings to those who are sick and tired of the hypocrisy, sick and tired of the violence, sick and tired of oppression and lies, and want truth and righteousness to reign on this planet. Greetings. Greetings to you. We have been studying, or we began to study the prophecies of Daniel, and we're going to continue today. We're spending a lot of time in Daniel chapter 2, and by the grace of the Most High, this particular session is the last session we will spend in Daniel chapter 2. We'll come back and reference it as we continue going forward in Daniel in time, but today is the last point we want to cover in Daniel chapter 2, and it's an important one. As we have studied Daniel chapter 2, we realized, we read where there was an image that Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had dreamt about. Daniel also received a vision regarding the image and its interpretation. And in the image, there were four metals: gold, silver, brass, and iron. And then the feet of the image, there was mixture of iron and clay. We saw that these are four empires, starting with Babylon, ancient Babylon, going to the Medes and the Persians, then going to the Greeks, then going to the Roman Empire. Okay, we saw that there's a stone in the dream that was cut without hands, without human hands, and it smote this image and destroyed it and became a kingdom. Okay, that's what we got so far. That's just a quick synopsis. We're going to go into more detail as we go into today's study, just to reaffirm what we've already studied. To begin this study, I want to go back to Genesis. And I want to start after the flood in Genesis chapter 9. Now, I want to start off by saying this. If you were to go, and let's actually go back for a second. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 5 for a moment. If you were to go back from Genesis chapter 5 and you were to count the lifespan of the sons of Adam, and these are not all the sons of Adam, these are the sons of Adam that followed the Creator. Not all the people of planet Earth were followers of the Creator. So these represent the sons of Adam that were progenitors of the chosen seed. Okay, he has a list of them here. If you were to go back and look at them in terms of their lifespans, and go all the way to Noah, and at the end of Noah's life, you will find that the first part of the earth, from the time of sin to the time of the death of Noah, was 2,000 years, approximately 2,000 years. Shabbat Shalom, Josephine. Approximately 2,000 years. So here in Genesis chapter 5, it beginning at verse 1, this is the book of the generations of Adam, in the day, or Adam, in the day that Yah created man, in the likeness of Yah made he him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam, in the day when they were created. And Adam lived 130 years and begot a son in his own likeness, after his own image, and called his name Seth. Now, I want you to notice, Seth was born when Adam was 130 years old. Now, prior to Seth, you can see there was another son. His firstborn son was not Seth. His firstborn son was Cain. That was his firstborn. And the prophecy that was given in Genesis chapter 3 included the Messiah, or the Savior, the one that was going to crush the serpent's head, being the firstborn. Shabbat Shalom to all in the chat. It being the firstborn. So Cain was the firstborn. And then Abel came after him. That's why when Cain came forth, Eve exclaimed, "I have gotten a man from Yahweh." Because that was they were hoping for Messiah. Okay, they were hoping for Messiah. They knew that he had to be the firstborn son. All right, so she got Cain. Obviously, Cain was not Messiah. Cain ended up murdering his brother Abel. Now, after this debacle, later on, that's when this begins, and you see Seth. After 130 years, Adam has Seth. Okay, and then it started from there. Okay, and then days of Adam in verse 4, and the days of Adam after he had begotten Seth were 800 years, and he begot sons and daughters. Notice again, and you will see this phrase throughout. They named one son that is the progenitor of the chosen seed. That's the progenitor right there. That's the promised one. And then after that, the man Adam had other sons and daughters that aside from Seth, but you don't hear their names because the focus is on the progenitor of the promised seed. All right. And that continues all the way through after Seth. Again, it says, and all the days of Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. And Seth lived 105 years and begot Enos. And Seth lived after he begot Enos 807 years and begot sons and daughters. And you're going to see that repeated. So the Enos now is the promised seed, the progenitor of the promised seed that's going to represent the kingdom of righteousness of Messiah. Okay. And it continues. Okay. Continues all the way through till you get to Noah. And actually, when you go all the way down, let's skip down and let's go to Methuselah. And in verse 25, and Methuselah lived 187 years. Notice now, Methuselah had his first or his promised son much later than the others. He lived 187 years and begot Lamech. And Methuselah lived after he begot Lamech 782 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Methuselah were 969 years and he died. Methuselah was the longest living man ever recorded on planet Earth, 969 years. Okay. And if you look at the lifespans, right, about a week before Noah entered the ark, Methuselah died. And Lamech, his son, died before him. And Lamech was a sign. Notice Lamech, verse 28. And Lamech lived 182 years and begot a son. And he called his name Noah, saying, this same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands because of the ground which Yahweh hath cursed. Watch this. And Lamech lived after he begot Noah 595 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Lamech were 777 years. And he died. Lamech was a sign. That very year, both Lamech and his father Methuselah passed away. That year was when Noah went into the ark. Noah had his children when he was 500 years old. He had in the latest of all people on earth. He had his children when he was 500 years old. He had 3 sons. Okay. And so you had a sign in his father Lamech, and Methuselah also was a sign. He died also at 969. These were the progenitors of the chosen seed that eventually will become Messiah's kingdom, the Most High sending his son and receiving a kingdom of this earth that's going to be Messiah's kingdom. Okay. And so I want to just let you know, as we're starting off here, that the earth is divided evenly into 2,000-year increments. The first increment is the civilizations and life before the flood that ended after the flood and after Noah died, which he died at 950. Okay. That's the first 2,000 years of Earth's history. The next 2,000 years after the death of Noah, and actually after the flood, were dominated by the children of Ham. Okay. First you have, and let's turn that Genesis. Let's go to Genesis chapter 10. Genesis chapter 10. And we're going to begin at verse 6. Genesis chapter 10, beginning at verse 6. And the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Sheba, and Havilah, and Sabda, and Ra'amah, and Sabdekah. And the sons of Ra'amah, Sheba, and Dedan. And Cush begot Nimrod, and he began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before Yahweh. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before Yahweh. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. And out of that land went forth Ashur, and builded Nineveh, and the city of Rehoboth, and Calah, and Rezin between Nineveh and Calah, the same is a great city. And Mizraim begot Ludim, and Ananim, and Lahabim, and Naphtuhim, and Pathrusim, and Cathrusim, out of whom came Philistine. And Caphtorim, and Canaan, and then we'll stop here. So wait, this is where the earth was dominated by Babylon and Mizraim, who we later now call Egypt, and Cush, who we later now call Ethiopia. So you had Cush and his son Nimrod. They said a mighty hunter before Yahweh. That means he was worshipped. He was like a god. These were black people. For 2,000 years, they dominated the earth until you got to Babylon. The Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom was the last Hamitic kingdom to dominate the earth. Okay, so the first 2,000 years, you had the civilizations that existed after Adam's sin and before the flood, or actually at the flood. And then Noah's life signaled the end of that generation. Then for the next 2,000 years, you have Babylon and Mizraim and Cush dominating the planet. Okay, nobody could mess with them. They were given that power. It was their time. Then after Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom ended, for the 2,000 year period that we are now in, sons of Japheth, it's their turn. Sons of Japheth. See, the sons of Japheth dominate the earth not because they're stronger, not because they're smarter, not because they're more wise than the other people. I wish that people would stop looking at them and think that they're just smarter and wiser than everybody. They're not. It's just prophecy. It's their time. Okay? So somebody might ask, well, Noah had 3 sons. He had Shem. What happened to Shem? How come he didn't dominate? Out of Shem is the promised seed. See? So you go from Noah, and of his 3 sons, Shem is now the chosen seed. And Shem's seed came down to Eber, who became the Hebrew. Then after Eber came Peleg, when the earth was divided by the Tower of Babel. And then it went down to a man named Abram. And then Abram's children. His son, Yesha'ak. His grandson, Jacob, who became Yasha'al, or Israel. And his nation, his children, his 12 sons became the representation of the kingdom. Okay? So Shem was never going to dominate on this earth. You're going to have Ham and Japheth dominate because they're under the power of Asatan. The earth is, the universe is seeing what would Asatan's kingdom look like. Well, first you saw it under Ham, and then you saw it under Japheth. And we're seeing it under Japheth now. Okay? What would it look like? Oppression, pain, death, lies, corruption. That's what you're seeing. Don't worry. He wasn't the only one. The same thing happened under Ham. It's not a white thing. Same thing happened under Ham. But Ham was not as bad as Japheth, because the Bible did show us the last metal is iron. It's ruthless. It's strong, but it's cheap. Okay? So Shem was never going to dominate on this earth under Asatan's kingdom. Shem represents the Most High. So his kingdom is going to be forever. It's not going to be. And as a sign of that, Messiah himself comes out of Shem's seed. See, Most High could have had Messiah come out of Ham's seed. He could have had Messiah come out of Japheth's seed. But he has Messiah comes out of Shem's seed and out of Yesha'ar's, Isaac's seed, out of Abraham's seed, out of Israel's seed. So he's showing you Shem is not going to be done. That's not going to be a 2,000 year kingdom, 2,000 year domination. It's forever. Okay. So now here we are right here at the end of 6,000 years. And we know that the Bible says that Messiah is going to reign on this earth for 1,000 years before the second resurrection. When the first resurrection happens, there's a 1,000 year reign. That makes what? 7, 2, 4, 6, and then 1,000 makes 7, which is completeness. Then after that, after the second resurrection, there'll be no more wickedness, no more sin, no more rebellion, no more Asatan, no more of his angels, no more of his followers on the planet forever. Forever. Okay, so this is just an overview of what we're looking at. So where we're at right now, we're at the end, with just like what Messiah said. And again, let's take a look. We'll come back to Genesis in a minute, but notice what Messiah said in Luke chapter 21. Luke chapter 21. Luke 21. And again, Messiah was prophesying of the enslavement of his people, Israel. And he prophesied about it. And this was about when he was about to be killed, notice, or sacrificed. Luke chapter 21. I'm going to begin at verse 21 and go down to verse 24. Luke chapter 21, from verse 21 down to verse 24. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto, for these be days of vengeance. Most High was going to inflict vengeance on his own people for their disobedience, as he prophesied in Daniel chapter 9, which we're going to get to eventually. Okay? For these be days of vengeance, and all things which are written may be fulfilled. That all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, unto them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. That is, his own bloodline people. Wrath upon his own people. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive. That is, enslaved unto all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, the sons of Japheth, until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. We're at the end of their 2,000-year domination. This is where we're at right now. Okay, we're at the end of their 2,000-year domination. All right. So we started off with the civilizations that existed before the flood. Then the flood came. Noah was 600 years old when the flood came on the earth. And he lived after the flood another 350 years. His whole life was 950 years. And that was the end of a 2,000-year period. Then came the next 2,000 years that was dominated by the children of Ham. See, I'm trying to let y'all know, this is not about hatred of one race or another. Race is not even in the Bible. Race is a thing that was created by the sons of Japheth to try to make themselves superior. That's where race came from. Race is not even in the Bible. In the Bible, they go by what country you came from, where you came from. Where you came from Ham, you came from Japheth, you came from Shem. And what country and those people did you come from? Race is something created by man. It was created by the Caucasian man to try to make himself superior to other people because it's his time. But his time is coming to an end. So you had 2,000 years of Hamitic domination. Babylon, Egypt, or now Mizraim is really his name, and Cush, who became Ethiopia. Okay? That, in fact, when you got to the Japhetic time of domination, when you get to the Japhetic domination, what happened? They stole a lot of stuff from the Hamitic people. They didn't create nothing. They just built on top of what Hamitic people had already done. The first people in the planet Earth to perform operations on a human being were the sons of Ham. Mizraim was already performing eye operations. This is back in ancient Egypt. Okay? The first people to write stuff down in terms of written form were the sons of Ham. Mathematics was originated with the sons of Ham. Okay? All of that came from them. Then what happened? The sons of Japheth came, and then they took what they learned from them, and then they brought their own sauce and put that in the recipe. So then you had, like in terms of mathematics, you had a lot of German mathematicians, but they learned that original art from back in ancient Mizraim, the sons of Ham. Okay, so that stuff is that's where we at right now. So you now are in the end time of Japheth's reign, and he's the last of those two brothers to reign. Okay, so don't even think it's about, this is all about, Caucasian people. I've heard some racist Caucasian, Jared or something, I forgot his name. We're just stronger. That's why we just took over. We killed the Indians because we were stronger and we're supposed to dominate. Well, he's half right. He is supposed to dominate. It's his time. But his time is coming to an end. See, Ham's time came to an end with Nebuchadnezzar. We saw it in Daniel chapter 2. Okay? And we're going to see how Ham reacts to that in Daniel chapter 3. Because it's the same way Japheth is going to react to it. It's amazing. When you watch it, when you look at it that way. So Ham is going to react to the end of his domination in a certain way. And then Japheth's going to react the same way at the end of his domination. You're going to see that today. Okay? So we started looking at Daniel's statue, and you can see the progression. Okay? You have Babylon, the Hamitic kingdom, Babylon. Okay. And as a matter of fact, you know that the inheritance of the Israelites was the land of Canaan. Canaan is a Hamite. Canaan was a Hamite. Okay. And out of, we saw out of Ethiopia, out of Cush, came not only Nimrod, but also came Philistine. The Philistines were in Canaan's land. And the Philistines were the biggest thorn in the butt to the Israelites in their whole existence there. So the Israelites are not going to dominate in this world's goods. They're the chosen seed, particularly of Abraham's seed, Isaac. Isaac's seed, Jacob, the chosen seed. And it started with Adam. We just saw it. Adam, then Seth, then Enos. All the way down, you get to Methuselah. Okay. Then you got to Lamech. Then you get to Noah. Then it goes to Shem. Then Shem, Arphaxad. Then Arphaxad had Eber. Eber had Peleg. And it went all the way down till you get to Abraham. Okay. All the way down. So now you get to Messiah. And Messiah is a Shemite. He's also a Hebrew. He's also an Israelite because he comes from all that descendant. And that's why Messiah said, look, let me show you. Messiah in Revelation chapter 22. Revelation chapter 22. Notice what it say here. Revelation chapter 22, verse 16. Actually, let me start before that. Let me start at verse, let me start at verse 8, and I'm going to read down to verse 16 for context. Okay, from 8 to 16. Notice what it said. I, John, saw these things. This is after all he had been shown, which we now know as the book of Revelation. I, John, saw these things and heard them. And when I had heard and seen, I fell down to worship before the feet of the angel which showed me these things. Remember again, Father sends the message to Messiah. Messiah gives the message to the angel. The angel gives the message to the Israelite servant for him to proclaim to his to the people. Okay, to his people. Okay, notice again. Then saith he unto me, see thou do it not, for I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren the prophets, and of them which keep the sayings of this book. Worship Yah. For he said unto me, seal not the sayings of the prophecy of this book, for the time is at hand. What time? He says it in the next verse. He that is unjust, let him be unjust still. He which is filthy, let him be filthy still. He that is righteous, let him be righteous still. He that is holy, let him be holy still. What is this? This is a repeat. A repeat of what, you might ask? A repeat of what was told to us by Noah in Genesis. What was told to him? What did Most High tell to Noah? My spirit shall not always strive with man, for he also is flesh. What does that mean? It's going to come to a time when the spirit of the Father that strives with all people to leave idolatry, to leave unrighteousness, to leave sin, that strives with people. And we call it, in this modern age, we call it our conscience. It's the Father's spirit trying to talk to us. The time's going to come when he's going to stop talking to people. And it's already started. It's already started. You say, how has it started? Listen, just yesterday, I'll give you an example. Just yesterday, I think it was in Colorado. Dude walked out of a Walmart, walked into the parking lot and killed 2 people. Bang, 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 bang. Pulled out his 9mm and popped some caps into people, just like that. Then he walked from the parking lot across the street to an oil change place. Told the dude, I need some keys. I got to get out of here. Dude behind the counter happened to have a machete with him. He pulled out the machete. He said, bro, we don't want no trouble. So homie took off. Cops killed him. Why did he do that? People snapping, man. People are snapping. It's just because the spirit of the Most High is withdrawn from people. That's what's going on. It's withdrawn from people. Okay? And he's not striving with people no more. And it's already started. And so as he withdraws from some, like he did in the days of Noah, he seals others like he did Noah. Okay? That's why it says the time is at hand. He that is just, let him stay just. He that is unjust, gonna remain unjust. Because once the spirit of the Most High leaves a man for good, that state is permanent. That state of that man is permanent. It will never change. Why? Asatan, the spirit of the Most High had anointed him. He was the anointed cherub. And the spirit of the Most High left him. And he will never change. He is permanently an enemy of the Father. An enemy permanently. because he will never get that gift. The greatest gift Father can give to us is the anointing of his spirit, because it is that anointing that gets us on the path of righteousness. Okay, it's that anointing. Without it, we are lost. We have no chance, no hope, no shot. Okay, and so the spirit is already, just like it was in the days of Noah. Again, we're at the end of Japheth's domination. We're at the end of his 2,000-year term. Okay, he that is unjust, let him be unjust still. He that is filthy, let him be filthy still. He that is righteous, let him be righteous still. Look, you know what it said? Cats that molest little girls, little boys, cats that go in there and have sex with little girls and little boys, they can never stop. Do you notice that? They had South Carolina, North Carolina, one of them start castrating cats. Years ago, they started castrating cats that were doing that. They would get out of jail and still try to do it. Still try to do it. They got no going there, still trying to molest little children. The spirit of the Most High is withdrawn from people. Okay, it's already started. It's already started. Okay, and that's why I'm always, by the grace of the Most High, employing all the people listening to me. Forget the money, forget the denominations, forget these organized religions. Seek your Father and seek his spirit. It's the only hope. Only hope we got. It's the only hope. Because when his spirit withdraws, there's no hope. That's it. It's over. Okay. And so that's what he said. He that is unjust, let him be unjust still. He said the time is at hand. This was the warning. The time is at hand. He that is righteous, let him be righteous still. He that is holy, let him be holy still. Just as the Father's spirit withdraws from people, and they permanently in that situation, in that mentality, in that spirit, which is the evil spirit, as he seals people, as he rests on people forever, which is what also is going on. The minority of people on this planet are receiving the Father's spirit, and he's going to rest on them. And their character is permanently like that character that Adam had before he sinned. Like the character of Messiah, who is our example. Permanently in righteousness, permanently in truth, will never want lies again. Those will have his spirit resting on them permanently. You know what that's called? The seal. Remember what he said to the 144,000? He said, the angel told the 4 angels, he said, hold the winds. What? Until we have done what? Until we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. That is the Father's spirit permanently resting on them. Only those that are seeking truth for the sake of truth will receive that. See, if we got any other agenda, if your agenda is to be a leader of people and to get money, you're not getting the Father's spirit. If your agenda is to start some big 501c3 corporation so you can get paid and have people worshiping you, you're not getting the Father's spirit. That's our Satan's spirit. The Father's spirit, Messiah said, glorifies him alone. Not you and him, just him. That's why none of these denominations can be it, because they also have to receive glory. The nation of Israel, their existence is glory to the Father. And they will do nothing but give glory to the Father. See? This is not about man. See? When Ham ruled, it was about man. Now Japheth is ruling. It's about man. When Sem's people come up and Sem's Messiah come forth, it's about Yah. All about him. He that is filthy, let him be filthy still. He that is righteous, let him be righteous still. The time is at hand. Okay, let's continue. And behold, Messiah says, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs and sorcerers and whoremongers and murderers and idolaters and whatsoever and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie. I, Yahushua, have sent my angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. Look at what he said here. Watch what he said here. I am the root and the offspring of David, the bright and morning star. This is a very tremendous statement if you actually look at it. He said he's the root and the offspring. That means David comes from him and he comes from David at the same time. I am the root of David. In other words, David comes from me, and I am David's offspring, the seed of Judah, the chosen nation of Israel. I am the root and the offspring. That's why he said, I'm the beginning and the end of David. This is the Shemitic kingdom that's going to be forever. Okay? It's the Shemitic kingdom. That's what's coming next. It's warming up. It's getting warmed up with the 1,000-year reign of Messiah. Then there's going to be a second resurrection where all of Asatan's children will be brought forth. And the final judgment and punishment will be meted out. Then it's over. 7,000 years completed. And then that's just the beginning of an eternal kingdom that will never end. And Daniel's going to remind us of that over and over again as we go through the book of Daniel. Okay? So now, we were talking about yesterday the 4 kingdoms, right? And I wanted to, let's go back again. Daniel chapter 2. Daniel chapter 2. Now we saw there were 4 empires, 4 kingdoms. Let's start again. Daniel chapter 2. I'm going to start at verse 37. Daniel chapter 2, start at verse 37. And now we're going to go back. Last night we ended up in Revelation 13. We're going to go back there again. Okay. But I want y'all to have this understanding, this overview. That's what I'm trying. That's why I started with that, because you need to understand. This is not, some people try, and I think what this is either 2 things, either ignorance or willful ignorance. And that's a common practice among the sons of Japheth today, a willful ignorance, or it's a situation where people trying to take the attention off what the truth is, right? Why do I say that? What am I talking about? When I talk about Caucasian people think that, oh, he hates white people. You know how many Caucasian people are baptized into this truth? Okay, into this truth. So it's not about hatred of white people. It's about following the Father. And receiving the truth. You want to know how hard the truth is? The truth is hard, man. This is the truth. My people were enslaved in chains because of our sins against our Father. We were placed in chains and slavery, and we're in there to this day. I just told you last Wednesday night about what's going on in different parts of the world. My people still in chains. And it's because of the sins of our fathers. And Japheth's about to be destroyed. That's truth too. Because of the sins of their fathers and their sins against y'all's chosen. That's the truth. It's hard. It's not I hate white people. It's not that black people are all going to be saved. It is what it is, man. Either you in it or you not. That's what it comes down to. Either you in it or you not. Like I said, race. I only speak in terms of Caucasian and black because that's what we understand, because that's what the culture has given us. But the Bible doesn't speak like that. There was Noah and the generation with Noah. Then there was Ham's generation, starting with Cush and Mizraim. And they had also Put, who was Libya, that's North Africa. Then you got Cush, that was mostly Africa at the time. Now you just got one section of it, but Cush was most of it. And then you had the civilization of Mizraim, who they changed the name to Egypt. Caucasians did that. See, what you're seeing right now is a result of the domination of Japheth. It's their turn. Egypt wasn't named Egypt, it was named Mizraim, but they decided it's called Egypt. The land that's now called Africa was named by an Englishman called Afrikaners. That's not the original name. But because it's their turn, because it's their turn to dwell in the tents of Shem, they came from Europe and they say, we the Israelites, because it's their turn. But their turn is coming to an end. Okay. And as we're going to see when we study today later on, when we look at Daniel chapter 3, you're going to see the reaction of Ham when his time was coming to an end. And we're going to compare it to the reaction of Japheth as he realizes his turn is coming to an end. It's the same reaction against the same people. You know what? The Bible does say there's nothing new under the sun, doesn't it? Whatever's happened before is going to happen again. It does say that in Ecclesiastes. There's nothing new under the sun. History repeats itself. That's why you can see prophecies of some of the Israelite prophets of things that happened at that time. And you can compare them and almost see a stride for stride reference to what's going on now, because history repeats itself. It does. Okay. So Daniel chapter 2, beginning at verse 37. Actually, I'm going to begin at verse 36. This is the dream, Daniel tells the king, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art the king of kings, for the Most High of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field, and the fowls of the heaven, he hath given into thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. After thee shall arise another kingdom, inferior to thee, and a third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron. For as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. Whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron. For as much as thou sawest that the iron mixed with miry clay, and as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hand, and that it break in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God has made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter. And the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure. Okay, let's go back now to Genesis for a minute. Genesis chapter 9. Genesis chapter 9. Let's go back now to one of Noah's final prophecy that's recorded. Noah was the prophet, and so his final prophecy is recorded in Genesis chapter 9. Notice what it says here. Genesis chapter 9. I'm going to begin at verse 24 and go down to verse 29. Genesis chapter 9, from verse 24 to verse 29. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan, for a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he blessed, and he said, Blessed be Yahweh most high Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And Yah shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years, and all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. So he said, notice what he said, Canaan shall be the servant of Shem. Then he said, Yah shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem. The word enlarge, people think of it in just one way, like, to expand. Indeed, he did expand Japheth, but that's not the only word for that Hebrew word that's used there for enlarge. The other word that's used for it is entice. Entice or tempt. What does that mean? He shall entice Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem. When it's Japheth's turn, which it is now, he's going to try to take Shem's place. If Shem is the chosen people, Japheth decides, nah, I'm going to be the chosen people. He's tempted to do it because he has been given the power, because it was his turn. Okay? So now everything that's discovered was discovered by some Caucasian man. Right? Everything great that happens only happens with them. When you look at the history books, it's filled with only them. When you see pictures of angels, they're all Caucasian. When you go to churches and you see Messiah, he's a Caucasian. When you look at the Middle East now, it's dominated because they done spread the seed of the Caucasian in there. The original inhabitants. See, there's some unfortunate brothers that are running out to Jordan, think they're going to be safe because of Daniel 11. Daniel 11 ain't telling you Jordan is safe. Because the original seed that it was Jordan, the way they're looking at it is Edom and Moab. That's the original seed. Ammon, Edom, and Moab was the original seed that inhabited that land that's called Jordan. But that seed's been scattered into captivity by the sons of Japheth. Them people there ain't the original seed. Neither are the people in Israel the original seed. That land right there, that ain't the original people. The original people in Palestine, them ain't the original Philistines. All of those chosen, all of those seeds have been scattered by Japheth because he's going to dwell in the tents. That's what happened. See? And all of them that was originally there were Semites. That's why he said Shem. Edom is a Semite. Moab is a Semite. Ammon is a Semite. All of the original Semites, all the original Arabians were Semites. And Japheth came and inhabited them, all of them. So none of them people there are the original seed. None of them. When it talks about in Daniel 11, which we're going to get to, when it talks about delivering Edom, Moab, and Ammon, it's the original seed. It's like us, who are the original seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob being delivered. They also are going to be delivered. The original seed. Why? Like if you go even now, you ask any Egyptian, ask the Egyptian. I got friends that are Egyptian. You ask them. The people that are in the northern part of Egypt are not the original seed. They're mixed with Germans and Greeks. The people in the southern part of Egypt, the most oppressed part, are the darker ones. That's the original seed. That's the original seed. Because their land's been taken over. The name was changed from Mizraim. The capital was changed from Kemet to Alexandria. They've been taken over. Because it's the time of Japheth. It's their time. Okay? That's all this is about. It's their time. But their time is coming to an end. See? With the awakening of the Israelites as to who they really are, with the awakening of the Israelites, which is now taking place as prophesied, it is the time of the fulfillment of the Gentiles. It is the time of Japheth's ending. That's where we're at right now. And you're already kind of seeing it. Why do you think you got all of these people that voted for Donald Trump that are skinheads, that are carrying these Confederate flags, that are marching and bringing guns? They're reacting because they don't even know the prophecy I'm saying, but they feel in the air there's a change. They can feel it. And they know what's going on. Okay, they know what's going on. So that being the case, they're reacting. They instead of just saying, you know what, let's look for the truth. Let's be real. No. They've been used to dominating for 2,000 years. See, this is human nature. Used to dominating for 2,000 years in the land, in the world of sin. You're not just gonna give that up. That's why the Bible says about Gog and Magog. I'm gonna say 160 y'all. The rest of y'all ain't gonna make it. Okay, it says it. We read it. Ezekiel chapter 38, 39. We said it. 160 y'all. Okay? Because y'all used to dominate. It's just a cultural thing. Very difficult. Even to admit. That's why people today, they're like, I didn't have any slaves. No, listen, man. Listen. If you think that all of us on the planet right now are not products of history, you are lying to yourself. All of us are products of history. All of us. Every last one of us on the planet. Products of history that's happened thousands of years ago. And we're just products of that. If you want to ignore that, go ahead. But I'm into the truth, man. And the truth is, everything that's going on right now is a product of what's already happened. And you have a choice. You can face truth or you don't have to. That's your choice. That's the greatest power the Creator has given to mankind. Choice. That's the greatest power. You can choose. You want the truth, you can choose to have it. You can choose it. Even if it hurts, even if it don't make you look good, even if it embarrasses you, you can choose it. Or you can decide to ignore it. That's your choice. That's the power that's given to you. Okay, you can choose if you want truth, and in choosing truth, you can choose the Father's Spirit. That's your choice. Father's not a rapist. He's not going to make you choose him. He's not going to do that. But if you choose to go against him, you are by default choosing the enemy, and he will take over because you just gave him permission. You can't choose to be neutral in this war. It's a war. We were born into a war between Satan and his spirit and the Father and his spirit. We were born into it. And that's why when Elijah stood on Mount Carmel, what he said? Choose you this day whom you're going to serve. That's why Joshua, when they got to the promised land and he had already divided it up, he said, choose you this day who you're going to serve. As for me and my house, we choose Yahweh. Everybody's got to make a choice. Okay. Again, this ain't got nothing to do with you joining somebody Christian church, joining somebody mosque, joining somebody synagogue. Ain't got nothing to do with that. That's all man-made religion. This is to do with the one that made heaven and earth, the sea, and everything that therein is, who said, I don't dwell in temples made with hands. That's what he said. I don't dwell in temples made with hands. The only temple he dwells in is one not made with hands. Like you and me. We're not made with hands. Nobody got in a laboratory like Herman Munster and put us together. we put together by the Creator. We're descendants of Adam, who was made by the Creator. Okay, he doesn't dwell in temples made with hands. He wants to dwell in us. All right. So he said, Japheth's going to dwell in the tents of Shem. Okay, that's what he said. That's Noah's prophecy, and that's where we are. They're trying to take over everything that Ham had, and they're trying to replace the chosen people with themselves. That is the way it is. That's why they were permitted to go from Europe and to come to what is now North America and kill all the Indians and take their land. That's why they were permitted to go from Dutch country and go down into South Africa, take all the diamonds and create Oppenheimer, a huge multi-billion-dollar conglomerate from the diamonds that was in Africa. That's why they're permitted to go in all of these lands and then put their corporations there, their Coca-Colas and their Pepsi-Colas and all of their big oil companies, BP and all of them, Shell and all of them, and take over. That's why they permitted to go into Central America and buy millions of acres of land and build Chiquita Banana or whatever they do and send it all over there. They're permitted. It's their time. But their time is coming to an end. Coming to an end. And the Bible is asking, choose you this day who you going to serve. Understand, everybody's had their time now. See, Ham can't say they never had their time. They got 2,000 years. And when it's all over, none of the children of the effect could ever say, we didn't have our chance. You had 2,000, you have 2,000 years. 2,000 years. Okay, and look what the kingdoms were like under you. That's what's going on. That's the truth. And the Creator has chosen, not me. The Creator has chosen the seed of Shem. They're going to be the last kingdom that ever ruled on this earth, the seed of Shem. He has chosen them. Okay? He has chosen them. So we see that this is Noah's final prophecy and it's being fulfilled. And we can see Daniel chapter 2 pointing it out to us. Again, let's go back now. We can see the 4 kingdoms. Now, let's go to Daniel again. Now, we're going to go through Daniel 3 today by the grace of the Most High. Then we follow up with Daniel 4, Daniel 5, 6, all the way through like we do with every book that we study. We go one chapter at a time. What I'm going to do right now for this particular thing, we're still kind of like highlighting. This is all, believe it or not, we're highlighting. Because I want you to have a foundational understanding so that as we go forward, it helps. You can see the thing in the big picture. You understand? You can see the thing in the big picture. So now I want to go to Daniel 7 for a minute. Now, remember now, there's 4 kingdoms the Most High talks about. Babylon, Media Persia, Greece, Rome. 4 kingdoms, okay? It's going to keep referencing these 4 kingdoms. Matter of fact, last night we were trying to find out the 4 kingdoms. Remember that? And we looked and we saw it was plainly said to Nebuchadnezzar, your kingdom is the head of gold. And then we saw that when Belshazzar, his grandson, messed up, writing was on the wall, the Medes and Persians came and divided his kingdom. And the Mede, Cyrus the Mede, took the kingdom at 62 years old. Then we saw Daniel chapter 8. Remember? We saw the ram and the goat. The ram had 2 horns. Remember? Medes, Persians. Right? And he dominated, said he was great. Then all of a sudden a goat came. The goat came from the west, and the goat was flying through the air, angry. He was very angry and enraged as he flew through the air, and he had a big pointed horn in the middle of his head, and he smashed into the ram and then stomped him to death. That was Greece. Daniel 8 told us it was Greece. Okay. And the big horn, Alexander the Great. Okay. That was it. Okay. Now we're going to find out. Then we went and we looked at Luke and we saw that Caesar Augustus declared that the whole world need to pay me a tax. That's what he said. The whole world need to pay me a tax. Because we Rome. And you pay. Okay? We knew then that who succeeded the Greeks? The Romans. Okay? That's where we were last night. Let's continue. We're going to look a little further today. Daniel chapter 7. Now, we're going to go into much more detail when we study Daniel 7 when it's time, but I want y'all to have this, again, this overall overview understanding so you can have a look at this big picture and you can see where we at right now. Just looking at the big picture, the overall, you know, the, what do you call that? The prelude. Okay? Daniel chapter 7. Remember now, 4 kingdoms. Daniel chapter 7, beginning at verse 1. Daniel chapter 7, beginning at verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, 4 winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea. Sea, Revelation 17, verse 15. Sea represents peoples, nations, and tongues. That's what sea represents in Bible prophecy. They were striving. Like there's war among peoples, nations, and tongues, striving upon the great sea. So wind was coming and causing the sea to have unrest. It was restless, fighting, striving, right? And the month after this striving among peoples, what happened? Daniel chapter 7, verse 3. And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. What is a beast in Bible prophecy? Daniel chapter 7. Daniel chapter 7. Verse 17, Daniel 7:17. These great beasts, which are 4 kings that shall arise out of the earth. So a beast represents a king or a kingdom, if you look it up, right? Now, what is a kingdom? What is a kingdom? A kingdom is a government that dominates a geographic region. You understand? That's what it is. A kingdom is a government that dominates a geographic region. That's what a kingdom is. Okay, so the beast represents like a nation, a dominant nation. No beast. Okay, everybody got me? That's where we at. Okay, check it out. Check it out. Daniel chapter 7, verse 3. And these 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. So out of war and strife came forth a kingdom. That's how it works, isn't it? Dominant kingdoms and empires come forth out of generally what? War and strife, battles. Okay, battles, serious battles, lots of bloodshed. That's how you get a dominant empire. Okay, that's why it's amazing to me, just as a side note, that I was listening, you know, people talk about a peaceful revolution. No, they were saying that about a year ago with Bernie Sanders and them talking about we're gonna have a peaceful revolution. You know what Malcolm X said? The ballot or the bullet. Ain't no such thing as a peaceful revolution, brothers and sisters. If there's a revolution, people gonna die. That's how it is. And if there's not a revolution, nothing's gonna change. That's how it is. As a matter of fact, when Messiah returns, that's what you're gonna have. A violent overthrow of this earthly system. That's what you're gonna have. See, that's what people don't understand. They think Messiah's come back all soft and flowery, and people just gonna float up and disappear. It's going to be a violent overthrow of his earthly system. A lot of bloodshed. Why do you think he said he saw the blood come up to the horses' bridles? This ain't no joke, man. This system ain't never going to change until that happens. It ain't going to change. I don't care who's president. As long as the sons of Japheth dominate, that's what this is all about. I don't care. They talk about immigration. They could talk about wealth inequality. This is about domination by the sons of Japheth. That's all this is about. And about them ensuring their continued domination. But prophecies against them. Because their time is coming to an end. Let's continue. Daniel chapter 7. Okay, 4 great beasts. beginning at verse 4. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. The first beast, first kingdom. We already know what it is. We saw it in Daniel 2, the head of gold. Notice also it said it was a lion. Lion just happened to be the symbol of ancient Babylon. Okay, it happened to be. There's lion. That's Babylon. Said it had eagle's wings. Wings of eagle, and to the wings were plucked. What does that mean? So at the time, remember we read Jeremiah chapter 27. Remember we read Jeremiah 27, and what Daniel told, he said, all the places of the earth, wherever a beast dwells, wherever fowls of the air rest, I'm giving it to you. And in fact, the Most High even went further in Jeremiah 27. I've given him the beasts of the field also. Everything I've given to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. Everything. Until it's time fulfilled. Okay, so he gave him everything. So that's why it looks like he had wings. He was like taking over, flying everywhere, taking over. And then the wings were plucked, and he was made to stand on the feet as a man. What does that mean? The wings were plucked. That means he stopped taking over, standing as a man. What does the Bible say about man? The heart of man is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. That's what it said. Well, what happened in Babylon? We just read it. Remember last night? What happened? Belshazzar got acted the fool. He started taking the holy vessels and started having a party with the holy vessels. And then the hand was written on the wall. Your time is over, bro. That's it. You done. Heart of a man acted the fool. The heart of man is desperately wicked. Deceitful above all things, the Bible says, and desperately wicked. That's why I say the wings were plucked. You stopped flying, and now you start acting like a man, and you was done. That's Babylon. Second beast, chapter 7, verse 5. And behold, another beast, a second, like unto a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. That was Medes and the Persians. That's why it was raised on one side, like this. Why? Because one side was higher than the other, remember? The Mede side was lower than the Persian side. Remember, it said in verse chapter 8, said that the stronger, the last one came up higher than the first one. Started off with the Medes and with the Persians, Medes and Persians. Okay, why did it have the 3 ribs in the mouth and the teeth of it? Because in order to gain domination of the earth, it had to overcome 3 kingdoms: Babylon, Greece, and Egypt. That's why it had 3 ribs in the mouth. Babylon, Greece, and Egypt. They took over. Medes and Persians. There you go. Second kingdom. Third one. Well, we already know what the third one is, right? It's Greece. We already know that. Well, let's see what it says about Greece. Watch this. After this, verse 6, I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, and had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. What is that about? Well, Daniel chapter 8. Notice what it says in Daniel chapter 8 about Greece. Daniel 8, beginning at verse 21. Daniel 8, beginning at verse 21. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Now that being broken, whereas 4 stood afore it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. So historically speaking, Alexander the Great died before he was 32 years old. Some people say he was murdered. Some people say he was poisoned. Some people say he poisoned himself to death by drinking. Okay, he died by the time he was 32. He had 4 generals that were his top generals in his nation of Greece and in his power of his army. Okay, there were Cassandra, Lysimachus. There was there was Lysimachus, Cassandra, Ptolemy, and there was another one. I forgot the name of them. There was Cassandra, Lysimachus, Ptolemy, and there was another one. Oh God, I can't remember that other one. But anyway, he had 4. So after he died, okay, they didn't let his children reign. No, they took over the kingdom, the 4 generals, and they divided it north, south, east, and west. Okay, and so that's why you had 4. It said 4 wings or fowl. Beast had 4 heads. Okay, so after Alexander the Great died at age 32 or 31, whatever, it was early 30s when he died, his 4 generals took over the kingdom, and they divided among them. As soon as they divided it among them, of course, they started fighting with each other. Okay, they started fighting with each other as soon as they divided among them. Okay, so that's, and then out of the 4 that was started off as 4, it became 2, north and south. Out of the north came forth the next kingdom. Okay, the south, Ptolemy Ptolemy was based in what is now at what was called Alexandria, Egypt. Okay, and then you ended up with the king of the north, king of the south. And that developed later. Now I don't want to get too far ahead of myself and confuse you, but that's how it started. Okay, it's Cassandra, Lysimachus, Ptolemy. Seleucus. Thank you, David. Thank you. Yep, Seleucus. That's it. So it's Cassandra, Lysimachus, Ptolemy, and Seleucus. All right, that were the four. Okay, and Seleucus ended up out of the king of the north. Seleucus, it wasn't his posterity, but out of that area came for the fourth kingdom. Watch this now. After this, verse 7, Daniel chapter 7, verse 7. After this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. Notice, iron teeth. And it devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. And it had 10 horns. Now this one. Now notice the four beasts. The first one was like a lion. The second one was like a bear. The third one was like a leopard. The fourth one, they didn't describe as any particular animal. Only thing they described, it said its head had 10 horns on it. The third one had 4 heads. Now look at this. Let's look at this as an entirety, as a whole, because you understand what I said now. The Roman Empire and what we have now in the Sons of Japheth is really a combination of all of these put together. It took all of this culture and put it together and put his own sauce in it and got his own flavor from it. But it's a combination of all the previous historical kingdoms. So you got a combination of Babylon in today's modern Roman Empire. You got a combination of Medes and the Persians. You got a combination of Greeks, and then of course there's the Roman in terms of its aggressiveness, in terms of its breaking in pieces and bruising, in terms of it speaking like a dragon. You got all of that in one. So notice, if you were to take all of these beasts and make them into one beast, okay, it would have 7 heads. One from Babylon, one from the Medes and the Persians, the bear, 4 from Greece, and then 1 from Rome. It would have 7 heads. And if it had 7 heads, the middle head, you had 3 and 3, the middle head would have 10 horns, right? Right? If I said that right, so you would have a beast that was made out of a lion, a bear, a leopard, and then it would have 10 horns. Is there such a beast in the Bible? Revelation chapter 13. Revelation chapter 13. Revelation chapter 13. Notice what it says. Revelation chapter 13. Watch now. Revelation chapter 13, beginning at verse 1 and going down to verse 2. Revelation chapter 13 from verse 1 and 2. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And upon the horns, 10 crowns. We're going to talk about that later. And upon the heads, the name of blasphemy. Blasphemy. See, because all of these kingdoms are anti-Messiah, anti-Father. Blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. They go to leopard, that's Greece. And his feet were as the feet of a bear. They go bear, Medes and the Persians. And his mouth as the mouth of a lion. They go to lion, Babylon. And the dragon gave him his power and seat and great authority. They had the 10 horns. That's Rome. See that? The last kingdom, which is where we are right now, is a combination of all previous ones and is led by Rome because it's the iron at the end. Okay, so the Roman one, and it said, look, notice what it said. Back to Daniel chapter 7. Notice what it said here. Daniel 7. It said in verse 7, and after this, I saw in the night visions, and this is a different one than all the rest. This one's different. Behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. It had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. That means it just took over, and it took over ruthlessly. Stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse. Notice that word now. It was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. This one was different from all the rest. What made it different? Notice again, Daniel chapter 7. Daniel chapter 7, verse 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. So, first off, this one had 10 horns. Is that what made it different? Wait a minute. And then out of the 10 came forth this little one. And this little one was a bad little man, because he took out 3, and he became the ruler. This little horn out of Rome. Horns, by the way, in the Bible, when you check about horns, right? Horns always represent points of power. That's what horns represent. Horns represent points of power. Remember David said, the Most High is my rock and my salvation. He exalts the horn of his servant, right? The horn of power, right? So the horn represents power. That's what Messiah was telling the apostle Shaul, the Benjamite, the Israelite from Benjamin, that became his servant to send him to the Gentiles, to teach the Gentiles the truth of the Hebrew Messiah. He said, it is hard for thee, he told him. Remember, it's hard for thee to kick against the pricks. What does that mean? Against the horns. It's hard for you to kick against the power of my spirit. It's hard for you to overcome the power of my spirit, son. That's what he was trying to tell him. Okay? That's what he was trying to tell him. And of course, the apostle, having seen the glory of Messiah in person, as all the other 11 chosen ones had, he surrendered. He said, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do, Master? What you want me to do? It's hard for you to kick against the power. That's what he said. Hard for you to kick against the pricks. That's the horn. See? So here, this one has 10 points of power. And then 1 point of power arose among them and knocked out 3 points of power. This one is the one that makes it different. Notice this little horn. He said he had a mouth speaking great things. Great in this case is not positive. It's not positive. It's a negative thing. In other words, like Revelation said, blasphemy. Let's continue. Let's go down. Daniel chapter 7. Talking about the little horn, right? Watch this. Daniel chapter 7. We're going to begin at verse 17. We're skipping that middle part. We'll come back to it when we study Daniel 7. I'm saving it, okay? But Daniel chapter 7, just for the sake, again, of the overview, right? So Daniel 7, beginning at verse 17, about the little horn. That's what makes this different. These great beasts, which are 4 kings, which shall arise out of the earth, but the saints, he just wants to remind us, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. See, there's no coming after Yah's kingdom. When the Messiah establishes the kingdom out of the seed of Sem, out of the seed of Isaac and Jacob, out of the seed of David, when he establishes that kingdom, they ain't gonna be just for no 2,000 years. It's forever. He said it just to make sure we understood. He said forever, even forever and ever, like there's no end, without end. Okay. Now verse 19. Daniel asked, then I would know the truth of the 4th beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, his nails of brass. See, brass and iron, that's like the Greek, right? And the Romans. There you go. There you go. That's why over the cross, remember, this is the King of the Jews, written in Greek and Latin and Hebrew. Daniel chapter 7, verse 19. Then I will know the truth of the 4th beast, which is diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns were in his head. And of the other which came up, before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellow. I beheld, watch verse 21, I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. Who are the saints? The children of Israel. The original children of Israel. The little horn made war with the original children of Israel and prevailed against them. We were taken into what? Chains. Messiah said, what? Wrath upon this people. They will be led captive into all nations until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Isn't that what he said? He's going to be led captive by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. You want to know why we can't make it in this kingdom? You want to know why all the dollar bills in the world will not help us? You want to know why? I don't care who's president. We're never going to become equal in this system. You want to know why? Because the times of the Gentiles are not quite fulfilled, but they're getting fulfilled. And the little horn made war against us, made war against us. Okay? That's what makes him different. He focuses on war against us. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. Who are the saints? Well, again, the original saints, we read already, Leviticus chapter 25, verse 55, the children of Israel. But then, of course, the Apostle Paul, the Israelite, was sent to Gentiles. He was sent to sons of Japheth, and it wasn't to start no Christian religion. See, this is where y'all get all messed up with your New Testament, your so-called New Testament church. The new covenant is a renewal of the old covenant. You need to read that. It's putting the law of Yah in the hearts of his people. That's what the covenant is. That's what new covenant is. Okay. No, he came to give the Gentiles an opportunity to be grafted into the nation of Israel, to receive for themselves the son of David, of the tribe of Judah, as their Messiah. Let me say that again. The Apostle Paul was sent to the Gentile sons of Japheth for them to give them the opportunity to receive for themselves the Messiah of the Israelites, of the tribe of Judah, the son of David. They were given opportunity to receive him as their Messiah and be grafted into the chosen seed of the nation of Israel. That's what Apostle Paul was doing. Okay, that's what he was doing. And then the Apostle Paul died, and all the people of that generation that received the Hebrew Messiah died. And then came along another Roman emperor named Constantine, and that's where you get modern Christianity. That's where the start of it was. Because when all the saints died, compromise came. And when Gentiles left to themselves, they're going to create their own religion, and that's what they did. That's what they did. Okay, that's why the world is in the condition that is in. Do you think that if Messiah's true people, with his true spirit, were running this world, it would be in this condition? Do you think there'd be people in Haiti, in the Dominican Republic, not eating with his machete in their hand all day, working for somebody, cutting sugar cane? Do you think there'd be people in Africa working their behinds off till they die for chocolate? Do you think that would be the case if Yah's true people were running this earth? If Christianity represents the Most High, why is the earth in such a condition? Why is it that there's oppression and the same conservative Christians are trying to destroy us? Why? Because that's not the Most High's people. That's not the chosen seed. That's not the chosen religion. His chosen are being hidden. His chosen are being oppressed, as the Bible says they would, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. That's where we at. We're about to see the true people arise because they're being awakened right now. It's happening right now. See, and the government is trying to, thwart it off by these cats running around in costumes and mess. The true ones are coming out. The truth is coming out. It's just this one book. All we need. Truth coming out. Okay, it's happening now. When the awakening is full within the chosen seed, the so-called ADOS, the African descendants of slaves, the so-called ADOS, the so-called black man, when he is fully awakened, when the brown people are fully awakened as to who they really are, game over. Game, set, match. Done. That's all we're waiting for right now. And we're not waiting long. It's already started. I already told you, it's already started. It's happening right now. The spirit of Yah is withdrawn from certain people and resting on others. Those that want the truth. Those are willing to receive the pain that the truth brings. Those that are willing to humble themselves and receive the truth for what it is. You know who received the truth? The Syrophoenician woman. The Syrophoenician woman. You say, who is that? There was this Gentile woman. She came looking for Messiah. She heard about it. And she said, my daughter is grievously tormented with the devil. Can you please come? He said, no. He said, it's not right. That's not right. He said, I came not but for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. She said, yes, but please. He said, no, I can't take the children's food and give it to dogs. Did she get mad? Who you calling the dog? Did she say, who you calling the dog, nigga? Did she say that? No. No, that's not what she said. She said, truth, Lord. But even the dogs eat crumbs from the children's table. He said, okay, your faith is great, woman. Be it unto you as you will. And her daughter was healed. She was willing to receive the truth about herself. See, she was willing to receive the truth about herself, and she got the blessing. Her daughter was delivered from devils because she received the truth. It was not easy for her to be sitting there. Let the Messiah call her a dog. He said, it's not meet to take the children's bread and give it to dogs. She didn't say, I'm not a dog. She didn't say, who you calling dog? She didn't pull out her knife and say, you called me a name. She didn't do that. Truth, Lord. Truth. Yeah, the dogs eat crumbs. Can I get a crumb? Messiah loves people, see, but he just wants to let us understand what the order is. So he said to her, he didn't have to heal the woman's daughter. He could have said, your daughter done. You Gentiles are lost. Get away from me. He didn't say that. The disciples were actually saying that. Send her away. Messiah said, your faith is great. Be it unto you as you will. Because she humbled herself and received the truth. Truth hurts, man. It does. No joke. Like I said, this ain't about color. This ain't about race. Japheth had his time. Before him, Ham had his time. Now your time is up. Now your time is up. Okay? Now the time is up. And y'all need to recognize that that's the case. The signs point to it. Do you see what's happening? Do you see these fires destroying millions of acres? Do you see these hurricanes coming with higher intensity than they ever did one after another? Do you see that? Earthquakes in different places. Do you see that? Do you see the corruption of the corporations on planet Earth? The corporate corruption. Do you see that? Do you see that they just give the corporation just this past May $4 trillion and then say, we don't want y'all to be lazy, so you're not getting nothing? Do you see that? Do you understand what's happening on the planet? Time is going, man. It's almost over. Okay, it's almost over. So here, the little horn, the difference between him and everybody else is he tried to make war with Yah's chosen. He puts them in chains. You think, oh, you think this, it was just Spain and England and Portugal that did the slavery? They don't do that without the permission of the Pope. They don't do that without the permission of the Pope. And they don't do that without sending back some loot to him. You understand? And then the Pope handles the money situation come from his partners. Who his partners? Sons of Japheth, that's claiming to be Israelites, the Ashkenazis. They're the money people. All the banking dynasties come from Ashkenazi Jews. All the banking dynasties. I don't care what anybody says. The banking dynasties are Ashkenazi Jews. That's the straight facts. The Rothschild dynasty, Ashkenazi Jews. Olympia in York, giant real estate conglomerate, Ashkenazi Jews. Hollywood, Ashkenazi Jews. You ever see them get up and get their Oscar? I want to thank Mr. Cohen, Mr. Feinstein, and Mr. Weinstein. Ashkenazi Jews run that. Facebook, Ashkenazi Jews. Come on now, be real. Trying to tell you the truth here. Supreme Court. 6 Roman Catholics, 3 Ashkenazi Jews. One of the Ashkenazi just died yesterday. They're going to replace it. Or either, I can guarantee you, I don't care if it's going to be. See, y'all caught up in conservative and liberal. That's a smoke screen. The Bible tells you what it is. It's going to be either be a Roman Catholic or Ashkenazi Jew that they're putting on that Supreme Court next. Because they got 6 Roman Catholics, Jesuit trained, and 3 Ashkenazi Jews. That's who running things. That, brothers and sisters, is the iron and the clay. That's the iron and the clay. Okay? And they partly divided and partly together. That's why you start to see some of them are prominents trying to mix with each other. You see an Ashkenazi Jew, marry a Roman Catholic. They're trying to mix with each other. It ain't going to work. Okay? That's where we at. That's Revelation 13. You're going to see more of it. You're going to see more of it. Okay? You're going to see more of it. So now I'm going to stop here. I'm going to stop here. We're going to take a break. It's 12:20. I'm going to stop here and take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to do Daniel chapter 3 by the grace of the Most High. We're going to do Daniel chapter 3. It's 12:20. I'm going to come back at 12:50 in half an hour. And I'm going to restart this thing and we're going to do Daniel chapter 3. And you're going to see the mark of the beast. Daniel chapter 3. You're going to see the mark of the beast. Okay? In Daniel chapter 3. Mark of the beast. Okay? Shalom.